Welcome to Expressions. I'm your host, Zoe Olivia, guide to the growth-minded truth seeker, leader of full life transformations, and a voice for peace, wellness, abundance, and soul-based, truth-based self-love. This show is for out-of-the-box thinkers, and every episode is designed to call you forward into your greatness, your self-acceptance, and your higher purpose, as well as supporting you in your awakening journey. May you feel energized, expanded, inspired, safe, and free. Thank you for joining me. Let's go. Hello, my Expressions family. How are we today? I'm starting this episode. I always start with how excited and grateful I am, which is true, and I'm going to get to that. I also have a request. If you guys hear something on my back end is I can hear the intro super smoothly, but then it kind of got a little bit choppy. So let me know if you hear on your end that it sounds choppy, like my intro. Please DM me on Instagram at the Zoe Olivia. I always want to hear from you in general. Just let me know that you can hear me clearly, that everything is flowing, or if it sounds a little bit choppy on your audio, wherever it is that you're tuning in, whether it's Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, I'm everywhere. Just go ahead and let me know. So grateful for you. So now I will transition into the gratitude piece that I always start out telling you guys thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here on this episode of Expressions with me. Thank you for resonating with my message, for investing your time, your energy, your attention on co-creating with me in this moment. So I see you, I hear you, I love you, I am you. I'm very excited about this episode. This one, as we know, I'm pretty intuitive with these pods, and I also talk to a bunch of people, which makes a great combination of episodes that are very relevant to you, to what you're going through. And if you're ever listening and you're like, I would love to hear your opinion on XYZ, I'm also very open to that. So this came through pretty intuitively, and we're going to be talking about emotions today. I teach a lot about it. I work one-on-one in a very deep, transformative capacity with my clients. So if this is something that you want to learn more about, you are in the absolute right place. And I'm going to tell you a backstory on emotions, my journey with my own emotions, my relationship with my emotions, and to give you guys 3 tips to navigating emotional waves. That's my intention for today. I'm thinking about also maybe having a class on this next month called the Emotional Explorer. So if that's something that you're interested in, to really have this healthy relationship with your emotions, where you're feeling good, you're feeling centered, you're feeling grounded, you're feeling like you can navigate, that's the intention of that container. And I think it's going to be really special. We are entering week 2 of Money Club, which has been the coolest intuitive soul passion project to date. Saw that one, as most of my classes, saw that one as a vision, brought it to life, and the way that it is moving, right? The way that I'm the members, for example, one of the things that I have the members of Money Club do during this month is to send me a message every single day on the things that they're manifesting. So after it was 2 days, the people are telling me getting free vacations, doubling their salaries. It's just absolutely bananas, and also simultaneously does not surprise me at all, because when you tap into this stuff, which is, aka spoiler alert, your own infinite potential, your own infinite capacity to receive, that's exactly what happens. So if you want to hear more about Money Club, let me know. Reach out to me on DM at the Zoe Olivia. I'm putting together all different types of ways that we can work together, because I'm in it. I love this so much. It's an honor. Quite frankly, it's a responsibility, and it's an honor. I am walking this walk with all of you. I'm doing this work. It's quite surreal to be in this leadership capacity, and it's super aligned. So thank you just for being here, for listening to me, for being curious, open-hearted, open-minded to my way of seeing and experiencing and perceiving and living in this beautiful world and this dimension that we are in. So, without further ado, the concept, the conversation of emotions. I really want to start this through a story of my own emotions. You guys know, because I'm super transparent on the pod about my backstory, how I came into this game and how I started perceiving life from as early as I can remember as the world was pretty unsafe. Not pretty, it was like I didn't have any kind of sense of safety within myself, outside. There was not violence in the home or anything like that. I just didn't have like a framework for my own safety. And so without that, to navigate the emotional plane was something that was very painful for me. So something I talk about in the earliest of the pods is, understanding life, and from my earliest memories, my framework of relating to friends, to society, all of that was through unsafety, was through instability, and that manifested in anxiety, very severe fears, sickness, quote unquote, and we'll talk about that later or at another time, but symptoms, like physical, mental, all of the things, emotional. Anxiety, I don't know if I said that already. Depression was my MO for like decades. Suicidality, I think I said PTSD, flashbacks, dissociation, which most of these carried into my life until like the past couple of years, frankly. So having that as how I was used to living, like that was my operating system. That was just what I was used to. That's what I was familiar with. If it was outside of that, I was very uncomfortable. I didn't understand that there was any other way to perceive the world. And all of that being said, even though I was super familiar and comfortable with it, it wasn't like I was just excited to be living that way, right? It was causing me a lot of pain and suffering, and I didn't really know what to do or how to understand it or how to come home to the truth of what was actually going on. And I have been blessed with some of the most incredible mentors, one of which being God, aka Source, aka, higher power, and coming home to my relationship with that, because I had a lot of anger towards God, towards everyone in my life. So being able to come back into a space where I could really see from a lens that was much bigger than me was super supportive. And I think one of the things that most notably stood out to me, that even now, because I'm constantly going to be doing work on myself, and the version of me you're hearing right now and the next episode next week is going to be different, it's going to be evolved. And so even the things that I'm meeting now have to do with how deeply can I show myself compassion, because one of my earliest voices that I locked in as I chose, right, that I chose to be an operating voice in my life was the critic, was the bully. And that whole experience with her and listening to her for instructions, and then, the more that I got into spirituality and awakening and understanding what that means, being able to see that she was not actually my enemy. So I want to dive into emotions a little bit today, how I perceive and understand emotions, and how you can use these tools to navigate whatever stormy or sunny seas that you're on, because it's all neutral anyways, right? So that's kind of what I want to dive into today. And first, starting with some foundations, right? Emotions are just energy that's passing through us at any given moment, right? What happens with emotions, especially like the way I perceive it, you can have aligned emotions and you can have misaligned emotions. And to take a second on misaligned emotions, that doesn't mean they're bad. And that was my, if there was anything that I could tattoo on my face, it would have to be that lesson. And I'm going to write about this in an email that I'm sending out to my love letter community. To say misaligned doesn't mean that you're bad or a failure, because you experience an emotion that's not in your full capacity. And that was the most important practice for me, to understand that I had to stop condemning my emotional palette. Because what happens when you do that, right? First, I'll lay the groundwork with what an emotion actually is, and then I'll tell you what happens when you condemn them. So what an emotion actually is, like what I teach my clients, is like these little Amazon delivery babies. They're like an Amazon delivery person that comes to your door with a package, with a message, something for you, all your emotions, right? your misaligned emotions, something to teach you. And what happens collectively as a society is that what do? We don't answer the door. We think that it's like some big scary monster. And so we don't answer the door thinking that it's going to make it go away. But what actually happens is that it gets louder. The design of the emotion is to give us the package so it will get in the house. It's just like, are we going to open the door and meet it? Or are we going to wait till it burns down the front door and then we're like crying about why the world is so unfair to us when we're the one who could have opened the door a long time ago? So the reason that I also call it babies, right? I said Amazon delivery babies, is because when you open the door to what that emotion is, it's not some like stranger. That person or whatever holding that message is you. So it's a version of you. And it's really important that you understand that, because even if it's a misaligned emotion, to condemn in any way, even by not answering the door, is to condemn yourself, is to put down yourself. And it's just going to make your process much longer because it's still meant to be met by you. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see how the things connect? So for me, the longest part of my suffering was that I was pretty much condemning my suffering the whole time. And there's still pockets of my life where I'm doing it, to be honest. And so, cleaning up that, and I can feel it in my body. And I think you guys can feel it also in my energy. Like when you start to make those shifts and you're just so much more compassionate towards yourself because you understand like, oh shit, who's coming through here in the door with these emotions is just a version of me that feels some type of way. And that's cool. Like that doesn't have to mean I am sadness because sadness shows up at my door, because none of us are this isn't, get this riddle, right? You're not your emotions and you are your emotions. Okay. So emotions come through as energy and they are you, but you're also much bigger than them. They're not the defining nature of you. They're not your whole identity. And if you're anything like me, I very much I very much chose to define myself based on my current emotional state at that moment in time. And that's just not what we do around here, right? So I said this is going to be 3 tips, and this is much more than 3. I'm just like, bombing you guys with this beautiful love of emotions. But to get really clear on your emotions being your allies is a great place to start. Even if it's just an idea, even if you're just hearing this for the first time and you're like, okay, I can open up to that. Maybe not because this feels shitty, but whatever, okay? Starting it as an idea, number 1. And then it has to, my friends, has to become a belief. So if right now it's just an idea, okay, and then it has to become a belief. And the belief being that your emotions are your allies. You have to stop condemning your emotions. That has to become a belief, because until you do that, you're going to feel, you're not actually fighting against yourself, but you're going to feel like you're fighting against yourself. And that's duality, that's an opposition, so that's not even true to begin with, okay? So I'm just here to make your life a little bit easier. Ease and flow. Remember a couple of weeks back, this is like massive hack to having a life of ease and flow, okay? So understanding that this is real, right? That your emotions are your allies. They're just versions of you as an idea, and then understanding and choosing that as a belief, right? Okay, if Zoe's not just talking smack and this is real, like, okay, my emotions are my allies. How can I practice loving them every day when I just cannot stand them, right? Authenticity, the honesty of that is also important. And keeping in mind that even because I do a whole series of emotional processing, and when things come up, it's easy to be like, I hate this. I hate that you're here. And then I remember, this is a baby that I'm talking to. It's a baby version of me. And if I tell her I hate her, she's going to hear me, right? She's going to hear me. And do you want to tell your baby version of you that you hate them? Not in any progressive way, right? This is why I have baby pictures of myself all over my house to remind myself. So the last tip would be to make this a practice, and let it first just be a practice of remembering. Like if you have to come back to this episode, send this episode to friends, have a whole conversation about this episode, ask me questions about this episode, make the practice remembering, right? What the truth of the matter is, that your emotions are your allies. That way you can navigate them with much more ease, because you're not looking to push them away. You're looking to experience them and to know them and to understand them, and then to allow them to see that you're holding them, right? You're like, it's like a little baby, and you're holding the baby. So now it can melt into you. It can surrender to you because you've got it, you know? And that's kind of what the practice becomes, is when you get very adept at this, at understanding and feeling and processing your emotions, then you're able to hold yourself to a greater extent. So that's what I'm feeling for this episode. I feel like I could definitely keep talking more, but I know I went deep and I went right for it. So I want to make sure that this lands. I want to have you guys know that this is very possible, and this is like how I have saved my own life in so many ways, from being so abysmally depressed and low and angry at myself and self-loathing, to being like, I'm awesome. And not because I'm just saying that, but because it's an energy I hold. Like, you can see it, you can feel it. It's like a confidence that's not like screaming, I'm confident and you have to tell me that. It's just like, it's something that I know. You know, it's something that I know. And this is what people feel when you're embodied in this, embodying your worth, embodying your power, and then being authentic about the times when you're like, I don't feel super worthy right now. Like, it's a whole new vibration. So if you're listening to this, and even if you're not, I want this for you. I want this way of life for you. It's an honor to be in a capacity to be doing this work, to have done this work for years, to always commit to continuing to do this work, to push the narrative forward. And as always, please reach out to me if you have any kind of questions, how this applies to your life. Go ahead and shoot me a DM at the Zoe Olivia at TheZoeOlivia with any feedback, comments, concerns. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? What did you think of this episode? If you liked it, as always, please, I invite you to rate, give it an honest rating, send it to some friends. Let me know what you think. I am here for you. I love you, and you got this. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.